All right, and we're live.
All right, so how's it going, guys? Um, this video is mainly going to be talking about what happened during the season finale of Fear the Walking Dead, season 3. And holy shit, what a crazy, crazy finale!
You should lean when you say that.
Oh my god, in the words of Negan, holy shit! Wow. So, I think I've said this like a million times. Cheers, by the way. We're drinking wine, talking about nerd stuff. I think I've said this a million times so far, like just in the last couple of months, but this show has gotten so much better. As most people probably already know, I was not really a big fan of this show at all when it first came out. I was very disappointed with, like, just basically everything with it. I thought the writing was just kind of stale, and I thought they did a poor job with, like, defining who was supposed to be the main character, and just, like, several thematic elements to it were just like off. I don't know what they did in terms of changing it, but this season is like a completely different show.
Yeah.
It's not just like the writing style. I think that whoever is directing it just like either stepped up their game or maybe they got a new director. I don't know. I was too lazy to do my research. But it seems like the actors are a lot more comfortable now. They've slowed down the pace of the show considerably to like really bring out the drama. It feels more like The Walking Dead now. It feels more like the show that we were wanting in the beginning that we didn't get.
Yeah, they're actually taking the. It was definitely too rushed in the beginning, which is why I got bored.
Way
I was
too
like,
rushed.
I remember watching the pilot, and I'm like, what is going on?
It
Like,
just wasn't
seemed very
realistic. Yeah,
scatterbrained.
the pacing was very unrealistic. The dialogue was just like very unrealistic. They've slowed it down and made it more like the show that we wanted in the first place.
They were just too quick to jump into the action with no explanation, and it's like we don't care about any of these people because we don't know them.
Yeah.
So as I stated this summer, he convinced me to get back into it. I did a couple of live reaction vids of those for anyone who actually cares. But yeah, they definitely like I don't know if they got some different writers or directors.
I think,
like
I think they got
artistically
another.
seems
Yeah,
different.
I think they must have gotten a different director because like the slowing down of the pacing with the dialogue, that's pretty much like all director type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography is also a lot better. Like it got a lot more artistic in terms of the way that like the shots that they do and like the faraway stuff and the time jumping and whatnot. Just like the storytelling method. So it seems like the editor and the cinematographer probably like either stepped up their game or were replaced entirely. But it's so much better. And this season finale was just like a perfect example of that because so much stuff happened.
Well, I will say first of all, I expected both Lola and Efrain to get killed. I was like, okay, they're gonna cut some people loose, just like I knew, like when they killed the whole ranch, basically.
I didn't think the Lola was gonna die.
Oh, I knew she was.
I thought
She was,
Fran was gonna die.
she was weak.
Yeah, she was also. I mean, she was very naive.
Anybody
And
who's like, yeah, let's make it for everyone. No, you dead. I didn't
yeah,
expect Troy.
I didn't expect Troy to die. I thought that Ephraim was gonna die though because he made that like stupid comment in like the last episode where he's like, "Oh, just give give the water back to the people and let God take care of it or whatever." And it's like, come on, bro, that's not how it works now. He was just like resigned to like letting whatever happened happen.
Well, I agree with him in that they weren't going to be able to keep that water. Obviously, like it's always going to be someone who wants to come in and make a power play to control the water.
Sure.
So in that respect, if there was no dam, then those biker people,
the proctors,
yeah, they wouldn't have shown up because there would have been nothing to control.
Right.
Now that being said, I want to address why I was disappointed with Troy's death, and I know it's like, oh, he's a shitty person. True. There is no lie there. However, when Jake died, Nick's fault. When Jake died, Troy was making a character shift. He was, to me, it seemed like he was trying to become the man who he idealized Jake to be, to replace that hole in the world. And I wanted to see that transition. Like it's rare to see like a proper transition of character, and I think Troy would have been a very interesting character study. To see him on the path of trying to become a good man, or at least a better man, leagues better than who he was, and where that would have led him to be. So I'm disappointed that we missed out on that, and in such a, such a not. I don't know. It was just such a strange way of how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little abrupt. I
Yeah.
thought they were going to keep him around for a
A
while
while.
longer, but
I totally thought he and Nick
then
were
again,
like lovers or something.
wait, who? Oh, Nick. Yeah, I mean,
Nick's clearly like was in
okay.
love with him.
So that brings up like an interesting thing that I noticed actually during this episode. So, first of all, I don't know if you guys remember, but when Troy and Nick were in the truck and they were driving together, I think they were going to like the swap meet or something like that, or they were meet or the dam maybe or something. They had that conversation where Troy was like, we're more similar than you think or something like that. And then Nick's like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, and they have this like, kind of like banter back and forth. And then Troy jokingly says, like, I love you. Remember?
I don't remember that part.
He says that, and then, again, really interesting cinematography. It immediately switches to a shot of the truck that they're in, and they're going down the road, and one of the signs in the background is XOXO. Which I just like loved that they threw that in there. It's like so subtle. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I
And
did.
then later on in the same episode, when Alicia goes to she's scavenging and she's trying to find food, she goes into that fast food place. And she stumbles into like the playground area with the ball pit, which like we all know.
Stupid.
There was a tic-tac-toe game on the wall that also said XOXO. Like 10 minutes later. I don't know like what exactly like the significance of that was. I guess, yeah, but the fact that it like showed up right after the Troy and Nick conversation, and then again like with Alicia, like, there's some kind of weird connection there. So.
And also Nick's reaction to Madison killing Troy, like you could tell he was very much bothered by it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, maybe you should kill me too. Like he was just very flippant, suddenly. Like he was clearly not. If that hadn't been Madison, I think he would have like viscerally reacted to the situation for sure. But I think that was a total misstep to take out the Troy character. I think he's one of the characters who should have been a long-term player. Also, Crazy Dog, I hope they keep him for a while. I'm not crazy about Walker. Crazy Dog is more interesting, in my opinion. Obviously, Strand. And I know a lot of people hate Madison.
I don't hate her. I mean, she's just not very likable to me. Like, I don't know. They've made her more interesting. I mean, the whole revelation that she, I guess, had to, like, kill her own dad because her dad was abusive, that made her significantly more interesting to me. But I still don't like her. Like she has a giant resting bitch face, and like you know what I mean. Like she's just like she doesn't seem like somebody that I could hang out with. The only time she loosens up is when she's like drunk.
Or with Strand. She's more fun with Strand, I think.
Which that's an interesting thing to bring up. What's going on there? Like between those two, it seems like there's a.
They're gonna be knocking some boots.
I mean, it seems like they had the foreshadowing for a relationship between those two in season 2 when they had that moment at the bar. Where They got drunk together in the lobby, and then like they had to like fight their way out of the lobby because a bunch of walkers showed up.
If Madison is Rick, then Strand could be either Daryl or Michonne. I'm leaning towards Michonne over Daryl.
Yeah, something like that.
There's something there. The way those two kind of dance around each other.
Yeah,
like keep saving each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta make sure Madison's okay.
Yeah,
I gotta take care of Strand.
There's also been like there's 2 scenes I'm thinking of that happened this season. One of them, it was like 3 or 4 episodes ago when they were at the dam and Strand and Madison, they had this like moment where they were like sitting on their cots and they had this like deep conversation where they were like staring into one another's eyes. Yeah, and they were like holding each other's hands and stuff, and it's like one of those things where it's like, it could be friendship, but like I don't remember any times where I've had a deep conversation with another woman like that where
I've seen this role before. And Strand specifically said, in spite of Thomas and him being like a big love for him or love his life, he says specifically that he's a lover of people. That means that
all
dude's
people.
Going both ways.
Yeah, it's probably bi, which is cool. Yeah. So I think they're probably going to get together at some point.
Like they left that open on purpose.
The other scene was I think it was last episode where it was right before Ofelia died, and Madison was just like, you know, sitting up against the concrete wall, like all upset because like she realized that her dad was going to show up and she was going to be in a whole lot of trouble, right? And Strand like sat down next to her, remember? And she like, he's like, come here, and she like, you know, put her head on his shoulder and all that sort of thing. Like they're definitely going in like a romantic direction with that relationship, which I guess makes sense because Strand's super charismatic and obviously a leader, and even though he can't stay out of fucking trouble, dude is always getting in trouble, always.
Yeah, that's why Madison is there to get him out.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense. I think that's probably going to happen, like maybe, you know, next season or so.
Maybe 2 seasons.
Which I'm actually looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to this show coming back because this season was so awesome. So well done. And Scott M. Gimple is the showrunner now.
And also crossovers.
The executive producer.
Yeah, that too. But also because of the crossover. And
that's a different video. Crossover.
Okay.
We'll do another video about the crossover. I have some theories.
I have some theories too. In fact, I came up with a new one while I was just sitting here. But I also think, in terms of Fear the Walking Dead, like I'm very interested to see where it goes. I've been over Daniel for a while. I hate how he's just like such a hater on Strand. Like he gets on my fucking nerves. Like he's always being like he's been being a little bitch to Strand, unjustly since the moment they met, and it's always been suspicious to me and rubbed me the wrong way. Like I want to like Daniel, but he's kind of a little bitch with the whole Strand thing, and Strand doesn't treat his people unwell, right? Yeah, he's a con man and a swindler, blah 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 blah. But if you're on his side, like Madison, he's not gonna screw you over. He's just not. He's honorable with the people he gives a shit about.
I don't dislike Daniel. I mean, I can understand why he does not like Strand, especially. It's different with Daniel because of the daughter element. He is a trained interrogator, and the only thing that he wanted to know from Strand was whether or not Ofelia was alive or not. And when Strand lied to him to his face about her whereabouts,
well,
I mean,
he gave her last known location, so that wasn't like totally.
But well, no, he said that she was alive and at the camp.
Well, he was alive.
He told Daniel later on about the fact that
because Daniel's
he didn't really know.
Crazy.
Well,
like I'd buy some time too. Like there's no right answer to give.
I agree, but then
he's a nutbag.
I agree, but at the same time, then you can understand why Daniel wouldn't like him when he asked him a direct question about the livelihood of his daughter, and Strand.
But no, he always keeps trying to tell him, well, you can't trust Strand. We gotta keep an eye on Strand.
Well, yeah, because Strand.
Madison can trust Strand.
Because Strand lied to him though.
Yeah, but that's why Madison always look at him like, okay, whatever, dude. Like, she clearly trusts Strand. She gave up that whole deal that Walker had made at that place. She gave up that deal to save Strand, and you don't do that for somebody that you don't trust and don't like. You just don't. Like, yeah. She was like, fuck this. I'm doing my own thing so I can take care of Strand.
I feel bad for Daniel because, like, at this point, he has literally nothing left to live for. I mean, the only thing that he had to live for at that point was Ofelia, and oh god, that scene.
Well, no, that's not true because he didn't even know she was alive, and then he found out for sure that she was alive.
And then, dude, that's by the way,
Maggie and Beth.
Like Ruben, is it Blades or Blades?
Yes.
I'm gonna get interrupted, but anyway. His acting during that scene when he like rolled up and discovered that she was dead was phenomenal. Like I really liked that scene. Like it was just like raw and like it seemed super realistic and it was just like really well done.
Did not see that death coming.
No, well, I thought it was kind of unrealistic that she was going to be able to get him to her before she died, but I was kind of hoping that she would die, like, before he showed up. The fact that, like, she died, like, 30 seconds before he showed up, that made it, like, so much worse. Because, you know, it's like, if you had just gone 80 miles an hour instead of 60, like, you could have gotten there, right? Like, It's just, like, any little piece of time they could have added to it or taken away from it. He would have gotten there on time and like been able to like at least say goodbye, which he didn't even get to do. So
well, ultimately, it was Ophelia's own fault for not stabbing that walker in the head first before trying to dislodge it from that fan. That was just dumb.
Yeah, that's true. That was really dumb.
It's like, why is she all up on the walker?
They had bullets too. Like, I don't get why she wouldn't just be like.
Or she'd have just stabbed it. 'Cause, I mean, the bullet would ricochet or be loud in that little space. But like, I just don't get why you would put your whole body and neck area all next to its mouth.
That was a noob move for sure.
Yeah, she was too. She'd been around the block enough to know by then.
That was for sure a noob move.
That was stupid.
So.
I'm waiting on Alicia to die next. She can go.
Okay, and then so, like, Nick, obviously relapsing, right? He stole the painkillers from Ofelia, which, like, I thought was, like, kind of
It
a...
was a waste on her, though.
Well, I know, but it was also kind of, like... I didn't like that he did that, because he didn't know how long she was going to be alive, and so he, like, took meds away from her that could have been used to mitigate her pain. And he did it in the interest of getting high.
Like, you didn't have to take all of them. Like, do you really need the whole supply?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was messed up. Plus, it's foreshadowing for, you know, more bad behavior in the future. I mean, like, we've seen now that he is obviously not past his addiction at all. He took like 2 pain pills, and then all of a sudden he's going to some like random dealer, like in a back, you know, in this weird shop, drinking zombie brain, like zombie brainstem brain.
So
He went from having 1 pain pill to trying a drug that he had never had, which happens to be zombie brains, and then taking it a step further and becoming one of the employees of this drug dealing outlet so that he can get a more supply of this. Like, he's fully fucked up now.
I need to know the full extent of what that does to the body, because and the guy was talking about if it was fresh or not. Like, that's cannibalism, but walker cannibalism. Like, I don't even know what that means or what that would do. Like,
I don't think that's real. I don't think it's real. Like that.
No, I don't mean. I mean just.
Well, he said it's the upper of all uppers.
Who tested that to know? Like, that's just.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, where did the idea come from? Like, if I see a rotting corpse.
Just bored as fuck, and they're like, let's eat every part of the body systematically.
It's a rotting corpse, and not only that, it's people may very care not to get initially not to get walker blood and stuff on, but you're gonna go ahead and ingest a body part.
That's pretty
just
messed
it's
up.
Swimming around in tequila, like that doesn't.
Was it in tequila?
I just assumed it was tequila.
I think it was just a chunk of brainstem that he put in a shot glass.
No, it was like with a drink. That. I thought they were replacing the worm with the brainstem. Is what I thought they were doing. So I thought that was tequila.
Oh, it's so messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, you know, he has a piece of this stuff and then instantly gets hooked and goes on some like weird like spiritual journey. Him and Troy like wandering around in the middle of a bunch of walkers. He's so self-destructive. Like, he basically said that he doesn't care if he like lives or dies. He walked right into a whole horde of walkers.
Well, I get wanting to do drugs, but eating anyone's brainstem, especially a walker, makes 0 sense to me.
Especially when there's like normal drugs available. That dude was like, "Oh, we got cocaine, we got amphetamines, we got everything," and Nick's like, "No, I want the brainstem."
And he's got some problems. Like, even Merle loved his drugs, but he would not have done that.
Oh yeah, I don't think
Merle
would have done
had
that.
standards.
Yeah, he's like, I want my meth, and I want it to be blue.
I'm going to cut up every prison bed to find some.
I think that Nick is going to be nothing but trouble in the next season.
He's not going anywhere.
And his mom, Madison, knows too, because remember when she was like, "Yeah, we got to go now," and Nick was like, "Oh, I'm going to stay around here for a while." Like, made up some like bullshit excuse for why he had to stay there with Troy. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was after he had gotten high.
Yeah.
Well, it was after he had gotten high, and he didn't want to tell his mom that he was going to stay to like go harvest more brainstems or whatever for this little adventure.
Well, he also wanted to spend time with Troy alone.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. Gotta kick it with my man a little bit.
But I just loved like the look on Madison's face though. Like when she was like.
She was just like over it, like, okay.
She was like, "Do whatever you got to do. You weirdo. Like I'm done trying to rescue you. Like you're just screwed up. You're a drug dealer, and you're it's just, that dude's a mess." So I think his character is going to have, there's probably going to be a lot of tension between him and Madison this next season.
Well, they're separated for a while. Because, the whole exploding the damn thing. And
Yeah.
The
yeah.
actual
Okay.
dam,
So let's talk about that. Predictions for who like lived and who survived, because it seems to me like obviously Madison's not dead.
Obviously, Strand is not dead.
I don't think Nick's dead either.
He's obviously not dead. Daniel's obviously not dead.
Daniel's not dead.
Alicia's probably dead.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Madison had that whole dream where she.
That's right.
Dead.
That was really interesting. I like that scene. I'm so glad they had a Travis flashback because I was like, really? He dies in the first episode. They're just never going to show him again.
Pop up. It's her fantasy. Why wouldn't her husband be there?
I like the fact that they showed Travis. I kind of wish they had some dialogue. It was a little bit brief. Like, he just basically was like, oh, here.
And I hate to see it again, but I'm pretty sure Strand was at the head of the table, which is usually where the head of the family would sit.
Yeah.
If I'm recalling
correctly. Well, yeah, because, like, they were married, basically, in that dream. I mean, he was like...
Strand?
Well, they were like, oh, hi, sweetie, and, like, they were, like,
foreshadowing for that relationship.
Yeah, they were, like, it was almost kind of like the dream sequence of Rick in season 7 with, like...
Really, an unfun version.
Yeah, it was an unfun version of that.
Oh, speaking of, so that's why I'm dressed like this. So the Michonne dressed in that dream sequence...
Let's do that in a different video because we're still supposed to be talking about Fear the Walking Dead.
I shouldn't drink wine or anything. So
okay.
Stay on task.
We're drinking, but it's fine. What was I about to say?
The dream, sweetie,
the dream sequence.
Strand.
Yeah. So it's definitely foreshadowing for what's going to be going on in the next season. Strand's definitely bae. I don't think that. I'm kind of confused about why they introduced the Proctor gang the way that they did, only to kill all of them off. It seems to me like there's no possible way that they could have survived.
Well, I guess so.
They were all on that ledge at the end when they blew up the thing. How could any of them have survived?
Well, the only Proctor that matters is the dude who had the tumor removed, John.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't know
that
what
guy
his name is.
And the dude who performed the surgery. It seems to me those are only two who really matter for the story that they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
Just like how they killed everyone on the fucking ranch, but they're selecting who they want as their leads, and I know they have to come across huge groups of people, but they're basically cannon fodder. Like, we don't know who all the Alexandrians are. Like, random Alexandrian gets killed. I didn't even know who that was.
Yeah.
Who cares?
That's a good point.
They just need, like, cannon fodder, so that's why they were there, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, he'll probably survive then, even though it's sort of implausible that he would be able to all of a sudden swim, given the fact that he just had a tumor removed from his spine. But whatever, we'll let that slide.
Well, I'm sure he'll have to find, like, another boat thing, or a floating thing, or something.
Because there's an abundance of those just around.
Hey. Jack and Kate did on Titanic. Well, Kate did it on Titanic.
Yeah, that really makes no sense, but we'll let it slide for the sake of the show. That whole surgery scene was so fucking creepy.
Like, why was he awake?
Because they... what was the reason for that? They didn't have anesthesia?
I'd be like, look, take a 2x4 and knock my ass out. Something. I wouldn't want to be awake for you to cut into me. Especially near my spine.
Yeah, and that whole like thing that he's got going on with Alicia is super creepy. And he's like, talk to me about your like life and stuff. She's like basically being like a pseudo therapist or something. Well, he's like under the knife. It's very strange. It's very strange, that whole thing.
Yeah, no, they'd have to literally knock me out. If they didn't have any drugs, just like hit me over the head. I might be a little concussed.
Speaking of like the dam scene, Lola, going back to Lola, who like
that was stupid.
We knew she was gonna die because like she was just dumb right from the beginning. But the way she died,
I don't know what she thought she was doing.
Laughably dumb to me. It's like there's like 40 enemies in front of you, and most of them have like AK-47s. She has one pistol
and
with
terrible
one
aim.
clip, and instead of like hiding behind a wall and like baiting one of them to come over or something like that, or just taking aim from like a better vantage point, she charges right down the middle of the thing with no cover and no place to dive for cover with one clip. It's like, what on earth was she thinking? Like, that was the dumbest assault I've like ever seen.
I guess she didn't really give a crap about Daniel either. She just left him down there bleeding.
I guess. I was just like, well, I mean, we knew you were
She saw
stupid,
Lafrene
but...
and lost her mind. Like, Come on.
That was crazy. I was just like, okay, well, I guess you didn't want to live anymore because that was just like the dumbest thing ever. Yeah, I'm not gonna miss her. I didn't like her from the very beginning, and I didn't really like the idea of like. At first, I thought that the point of her character was to be like a daughter surrogate to Daniel after he like lost Ofelia. That's what it seemed like. Like she was gonna be like the new daughter of Daniel, and I guess they're not going to do that, but now I'm kind of glad they didn't do that because she was like annoying and yeah.
If they're going to partner up and do, I don't know,
shenanigans of some kind.
Probably lots of torture and lots of drugs. And then Daniel's going to beat the shit out of Nick for doing the drugs. Like, you know, he's going to be the strong hand that Nick didn't get to have. Yeah, Madison was not that strong hand. Daniel does not give two shits, as we saw. He will beat the shit out of Nick if he fucks up. And Nick will just go with it. Like, if that old man had locked me in a room and told me to sit down, I would not have just sat down.
I was really surprised that Nick like didn't do anything to try and stop that whole thing. Like Daniel didn't even have a weapon in his hand at that point.
I would rush that old man.
And shouldered him, right? Like just knocked him down and then like stomped him like one time and just run out of the room and said he's like agreeing to sit down. Like, well, Daniel's just told him blatantly that his intentions are to torture him. And he's just like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I'll sit down and play my chances. Like, Nick, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of that room.
Going around locking me in no weird basement-like rooms. And he was moving all slow and stuff too. Like, there's just no way that's going on.
Daniel's a weird character. I mean, I'm not really sure how I feel about him. I get where he's coming from, but I'm also like, it worries me that like he can't be reasoned with, like when he's like really upset about something, you know. And yeah. Walker's the same way. I'm worried about Walker the same way that I'm worried about Daniel. Like Walker, he seems calm and rational, but then like when something doesn't go his way, he turns on people so fast.
I don't like Walker.
He seemed totally fine, like he was like willing to work with the white people and everything at the ranch, but then like the second that he thought that Madison wasn't going to be able to get the water to them, he just turned immediately.
I'm pretty sure he turned in Madison and Strand too, as well.
Yeah, like he didn't like Strand right off the bat and all this stuff. I don't know.
I didn't buy his whole.
I
got captured.
Yeah, him and Daniel are loose cannons. So maybe those two, and those two actually have tension too, because of the fact that like Daniel found out that Walker had like trained Ofelia to be a soldier, which is not what Daniel wanted. He made it like abundantly clear that he did not like the idea of her becoming a soldier. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like a major conflict between those two. People. Yeah.
He made her a killer without her consent.
Yeah, there's going to be some kind of conflict between those two in season 4, I think.
Although, to be fair, I don't know what she thought was going to happen. Like, I'm going to poison his food. I mean, at the very least, on the low end of the scale, like, someone would have had a bad allergic reaction and died anyway, and that would have been, like, her fault.
Yeah, well, it was like anthrax, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She even asked what the drug, like, what the poison was.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I would have been like, wait, is this going to make them poop a lot or vomit a lot? Like, what kind of drug is this?
That would have been really funny if, like, it was just a massive dose of laxatives. Like, they just put that in all their coffee.
You can't fight if you're taking it down.
Exactly.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Exactly.
You'd be more concerned about toilet paper at that point.
I think that's about it. This video is probably getting really, really long at this point.
Yeah. Alright, so Fear the Walking Dead. Looking forward to next season, and we have some other thoughts on the crossover in our next video.
That'll be in the next video. In the meantime, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at RLRashone.
Subscribe to this channel,
which is Jill Robi on YouTube, and also our Facebook page, facebook.com/TheLivingRashone, as well as our upcoming website, which is not fully launched yet, but it's www.thelivingrashone.com. Talk to you guys soon. And cheers.